Hey guys, and welcome to this episode. This is David with Geeks and Jocks. In this channel we talk everything about Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic and Pokemon TCG. And in this episode we're going to be talking about cards that you might slept on. That is what this episode is going to be about. But before we go into the episode, I want to remind you, if you want to help us to get to 1,000 subscribers, if you want to comment, like, and share this video, or subscribe yourself if you haven't done so already, that will really help us out. So let's jump into the video. And first off, we have Archmage's Charm. From its release on 2019, it came out in Modern Horizons. It is a rare and it's for triple blue. It's an instant. You choose one, counter target spell. Target player draws 2 cards. Gain control of target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 1 or less. And this card, like I said, came out in 2019, and its pre-release price was around $24. This, like I said, is a rare from this set, and it went all the way down to $4 after this, and it stayed that way for a long time. But now it's seen a lot of use in decks like Azorius Control, Esper Control, and a lot of Through the Breach decks. So it saw a spike up from its low, I guess like $9 from last year to this year being like at $14. Like I said, what I remember from this card is being like $3 to $4 all day. Well, like I said, a month after the release, it went from $24 to $4. Granted, it hasn't seen its all-time high yet, but I think this card has a potential, especially since I don't think it's getting reprint on Modern Horizons 2. I don't think so. So it's gonna see its spike in price because it has seen a lot of play ever since it came out. And its foil version, it's all the way skyrocketed up to $35. This card is very well one of those cards you want to dive in through your bulk just to see if you have a copy or two, because I think it will keep on rising in price because of the heavy use that it's being seen lately on all the, like I said, all the control decks and Through the Breach decks. You can still find some copies around the $14 range or lower on eBay, but Card Kingdom, they already are out, as at least when I checked, they're already out of the near mint copies, and the other copies are not that much different in price. So like my best bet is if you go to eBay, you might be able to find some copies a little bit cheaper. But if you don't have your copies and you're planning to play one of these decks, I suggest you do get them, because I think they're gonna keep on rising in price and maybe go all the way up to its all-time high, which is $24. Then we have Auriok Champion. And this card, we're talking about the 5th Dawn copy. It's a 2-white human cleric, protection from black and from red. Whenever another creature comes into play, you may gain 1 life. This card saw a reprint in Iconic Masters, and that copy is even up there with this copy. The price is really up. Its pre-release price around 2011 when it first came out in 5th Dawn. It was around $3, and it got an all-time high in 2016 at around $40. The reprint obviously dropped down the price from its all-time high from $40 when it got reprinted, like I said, in Iconic Masters, and it dropped all the way down from $40 to like $11. But now it's seen an all-time high around $60. Humans being one of the reasons why I think this card is seeing a lot of the price increase, plus it hasn't been reprinted ever again from Iconic Masters, and Iconic Masters was a while ago. Also, this card sees a lot of play in a lot of sideboards such as like Death and Taxes and Healer Company. Healer Company being a very good deck that this card goes into, and this is another reason why this card is very popular and very it's an answer for like red decks. It really, gaining life is really bad for against burn players, against mono red players, and the gaining life, and it has protection from red, so it's really good against those type of decks, and it at least sees sideboard play in a lot of those type of decks, and this is why it's going from those $11 when they got reprinted to all the way up to like $60. And this card, I don't think you might like consider being slept on, because this card was always like a $10 card. It was never one of those cards you threw into your bulk binder or your bulk box. This card, I don't think you're gonna find any from your bulk. But you know, you never know. If you open a lot of Iconic Masters, this card was like heavily printed in that set. I know that because I opened a lot of I opened some boxes from Iconic Masters and I saw that card a lot. I actually sold a couple sets I wasn't playing that card at the time. I'm still not playing it at this time, but I'm planning to buy my full set before it goes up a little bit more. Once I see that if they're gonna reprint it ever again, and I think they will, that's when I'll buy my sets, because usually when people hear reprints, they lower their prices, they want to get rid of them, and that's just a good dip to buy those cards. Up next we have Balefire Dragon. This card came out in Innistrad, and from its release in 2012 has gone from $1 card to all the way to $20 last year. Balefire Dragon is a 5 colorless and 2 red that is a creature dragon with flying. Balefire Dragon deals combat damage to a player. It deals damage to each creature that player controls, and it is a 6/6. This card is obviously seeing a price increase because of Commander. This card is heavily played in Commander, obviously because dragons are a favorite archetype or a favorite creature type for players, and players like to play this card in their commanders. Some popular commanders are like Kalia, and I play the Sign of the Earth Dragon or the Earth Dragon. This card will see a home in those type of decks and all the variations that they see, because it's a really good card. And like I said, this card was like $20, and now if you look for it, you kind of find it around $35 to $40. I think this card had a reprint, and if I'm not mistaken, it came out in Ultimate Masters, and it also was a box stopper. It was the worst box stopper you could get, but now it's seeing a lot of rise in price, so you might, people that got that box stopper back in the day that were really upset might just see it as a positive, it being at like $87. But everything with time rises, at least in this type of environment, which are TCGs. I'm not saying that not all cards, but you know, some of them, and this being the case because it was an exclusive card that came as a box stopper, like I said. Now that being said, don't be surprised if this card gets reprinted in a Commander set. We are getting Commander sets every year, so don't be surprised if they redo like a Dragon Commander, and this card is gonna be a staple there, obviously because it's a good selling point for the company, and that will drop the value of this card. You know, you don't buy sets of this card, you only need one. So if it's in the commanders, in a commander pre-con, then people are gonna buy that commander, and it will drive that price down, I'm pretty sure. Now up next we have Arcbound Ravager. This card is the one that is making me I'm gonna do another follow-up video for this video, just because I think this card is gonna go sky high. With all the cards that we are seeing from Modern Horizons 2, I think this card is gonna blow it out of the water from the price it has right now, and it's gonna go way up there. So Arcbound Ravager, you pay 2 colorless, an artifact creature, sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on Arcbound Ravager. It has modular for 1. This comes into play with a +1/+1 counter on it. When it's put into a graveyard, you may put its +1/+1 counters on target artifact creature. It's a 0/0. It is a rare from Darksteel. And from its release, the only price I was able to dig out was like a price of $13, right around like 2012. That's the one I'm basing myself on. And this card saw its glory days when the Affinity deck was one of the decks to beat. It was really popular around 2016. But with the cards that are coming out in Modern Horizons 2, I think this card is gonna see a meteoric rise. It had a high of $54. Right now it's sitting like at 30, so I wouldn't be surprised that this copy in particular goes up 60 or more dollars. The foils of this card are like $60 each, so my best guess, if you want to get this card right now, this is the best time to get it, because I think those are gonna rise like crazy. And the reason I'm saying this is because the next card that we're going to talk about, it's from the same set, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But like I said, this card might see a meteoric rise because Affinity hasn't been relevant for a while now, but those type of decks that are really consistent and really solid don't need much, but 1 or 2 cards that go into that deck that can beat the meta for them to be relevant again. So I wouldn't sleep longer in this card. This card is about to like spike up. And I'm gonna make a follow-up video, and maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I'm correct. This card is the first uncommon on the list, and the last card I'm gonna be talking about in this video. But this card is an uncommon from Darksteel. Like I said, same release, 2004, and the price was around, the card was around $20 just last year. And this is Aether Vial. It's a artifact. It's a uncommon from Darksteel that on your upkeep you put a charge counter on Aether Vial, and you tap. You may put a creature card with combatant mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Aether Vial from your hand into play. This card has been seeing a lot of play in decks like humans, goblins, and spirits. And all of those decks are not also meta, but they're really fun to play with. That is why I think we're seeing the meteoric rise on this card alone. Last year it was at $20. Right now it's sitting at like $55. This particular version, it has been reprinted before. It has seen some or a lot of printings, if you want to call it. It has printings from Iconic Masters, from the Vault Relic, Modern Masters, and it also was a masterpiece from the Kaladesh era. But this card, like I said, this card you might have slept on because it was so commonly used that people, when they see it commonly used and they remember, like price memory tells you that's a 20 bucks card, you know, you get to place it for $80. Now that is not the case. And if you look for the foil of this card is going to cost you about $200, almost as much as the masterpiece. That tells you a lot. That tells you that this set, that's what I'm saying of Arcband Ravager, I think that card is worth a lot more than $60 a piece. That's why I'm like I said, I'm gonna do a follow-up because I think these cards are about to explode because they are they're really old, if you want to call them that way, and they also hold a lot of value because they're really highly used in their specific and respective decks. So with this being said, I'm gonna do a follow-up video and probably give you more cards that you want to follow and not sleep on, especially if you're planning to build those decks later on or you have a plans to build those decks, because these copies are about to skyrocket. We have seen 2 or 3 times the value from last year, and if you're an active player, these are cards that you may want to look into, because if you want to build those decks, you might want to get them right now, then later. A lot of people were suffering from the dual lands skyrocketing in price because a lot of people wanted to get them, but they couldn't get them in time, and now they're almost impossible to get at the current prices for a lot of people, to be honest. So that's it for today's video. That's all the cards that I think people slept on. And you know, some of them went below your radar just because they were so commonly used and you got so used to see them that you don't see or you don't think about the price increases that way. And that's it for this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know what cards you think people are sleeping on and that people should get if they are thinking of building those decks. And that's it for today's video. I want to remind you, if you want to help us out, get the subscribers, comment, like, and share. Also subscribe if you haven't done so already. I want to thank our sponsors, Dex and Game Inc. Both are linked in the description of this video. And that's it for this video. We'll see you in the next one.